The reality is with regular alcohol use, it really erodes your diet and lifestyle. Simply the return on investment, alcohol for fun, and then what the costs are on the back end. And, again, like I said, rewiring your neural circuitry for sometimes 6 months at a time for more stress and more anxiety and lack of discipline. And guess what you can do with lack of discipline and impulse control? You're going to be hitting more, drinks.
Do you ever find yourself using alcohol to relax and unwind, even when you know it's not the best choice? In this episode, I chat with Clifford Stephan, who created the Booze Vacation. Clifford shares his journey and insights on how a 3-month break from alcohol can lead to weight loss, enhanced mental clarity, and can help you regain control of your life. With his experience in helping others navigate their relationship with alcohol, Clifford offers practical tips for making lifestyle changes and improving your overall health. You may be looking to simply reduce your alcohol intake or quit altogether. Whatever your goals are, this episode will guide you to take action now. Welcome to Move Your Mind, where we uncover why you are holding yourself back from getting the life you want and what to do about it. With the help from high-achieving guests and experts in behavioural science, personal development, and the health and wellness space. Join us if you're ready to move out of your own way toward your ideal self. I'm your host, Nick Brax, and I've been working in the health and wellness space for the last 15 years, helping people find direction and gain the courage to take control of their life. My mission is simple: to help you learn everything that I wish I knew so you can become your ideal self. Lacking guidance, I spent the majority of my youth feeling lost and disempowered, which led to depression, anxiety, low self-esteem, and substance abuse. Looking back, I didn't have the vocabulary to communicate what I was experiencing. And as a man, I didn't resonate with the emotional language used in traditional therapy. I didn't need to talk about my feelings. I needed tangible solutions to guide me toward building a life I was proud of. If you can relate, then this podcast is for you. In this episode, we discuss how a 3-month booze vacation can help you lose weight, boost focus, and regain control of your life. If you're ready to take action and build a stronger mindset, then keep listening. Clifford, so great to meet you, mate.
Nick, pleasure. Thanks so much for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, no, I'm super excited to have you on, and it's this topic, something that I've become more and more interested in. And I quit drinking a year and a half ago. And it's made such a difference in my life. And it wasn't really a problem. It was earlier on in my life, but just the small changes that have come on all levels, psychologically, in terms of just how you feel and everything, just from making that change of removing alcohol. It's been huge.
Yeah, no, I feel you. And, a little bit about Booze Vacation and the movement and the brand we kind of created, ultimately backing in and scratching my own itch. I started drinking in high school, like a lot of guys in the US do. And if you don't drink in high school, you're drinking in college more than likely. And so I think it just kind of follows us along through corporate America. And there's always a reason to celebrate or have an event or whatever. And so, yeah, I loved drinking. Didn't have a problem per se, but yeah, it was definitely affecting things, and that became more acutely aware in my 30s and 40s. And definitely a pretty big health nut. I had a degree in nutritional science. I was real active in sports, and so I was always kind of looking and always used to looking and feeling pretty good, and definitely saw that kind of start to slide down, in later in my 30s, early 40s. And, kind of turned over a lot of stones when it comes to your diet and lifestyle and supplements and workouts, and ultimately begrudgingly took a 1-year break from alcohol, which I refer to as a booze vacation, to kind of make a joke out of it and get my buddies off my back. And it worked out really well. And like you're hitting on, it sounds kind of silly, but I really found it to be the fountain of youth and the key to happiness when you give your body and mind and soul a chance to kind of re-regulate all the dysregulated systems that not only regular alcohol use, kind of affects, but just your age and wear and tear and responsibilities. And, we're kind of targeting, men of success that are, kind of might find themselves with kind of everything they wanted as far as, their business and their house and their families, but kind of some other stuff they're not as happy with, maybe not really being all that grateful for it, or being a little bit discontent, definitely having some belly fat and some bad blood work, and yeah, kind of just, maybe kind of starting to scratch your head a little bit about, as far as, not feeling as good as you think you probably should at your age. And so, yeah, we kind of fired it up. And yeah, it's ultimately all about kind of sharing that gift, because it is a tremendous gift and it is such an important, impactful tool. And, honestly, I just never found my guys, my buddies, my peers, wherever I went, really talk about it in a meaningful way. And, I think a lot of us dudes are kind of monkey see, monkey do. And when no one's doing it, no one's trying it, no one's talking about it, it really becomes kind of a vacuum. And, not to be dire, but I've kind of backed into, the health and nutrition, and, you get belly fat, you get metabolic disease in your 30, pre-disease stuff in your 30s with high blood pressure. And yeah, kind of it becomes more chronic disease states in your 40s and 50s, and just really bad, silly outcomes, honestly, that can really be addressed quite easily with diet and lifestyle, but not with regular alcohol use. So we're kind of being the assholes talking some shit on alcohol to kind of try to get guys to have some awareness that, hey, maybe taking a break isn't a bad idea. It's not about pointing fingers or pushing sobriety, but it's really about just giving the guys the ground cover to kind of just take a meaningful, purposeful break to hopefully get them a little bit closer to 100%, because a lot of guys are not anywhere near that, and they're kind of just used to, kind of dragging acid 60%. So it's hard to make a meaningful, educated decision around it when you're kind of used to those states.
Yeah, I think that's such a great message, and that's the thing. It doesn't need to be about having to go cold turkey, but I think, like you're saying, having that break at least to try and recalibrate yourself, because Australia is the same. So many countries in the world where it's just part of our culture. I grew up, and by the time you're in sort of the latter end of high school, you start drinking, you go out on the Friday, Saturday nights. That bleeds into becoming just part of your life when you're an adult, where you just drink at the end of the week and, binge drink and do all of these different things. And it's so normalized that no one really questions it. And like you're saying there, especially for men, we don't really like to be the, outspoken one when it comes to anything to do with topics like this, mental health, those sort of areas, because you're out of fear of being judged or laughed at or whatever it is. But, it's a serious topic, and it's something we really need to talk about. And I think I'm 37 now, and I've started seeing more, in my second half of my 30s, I've really started seeing it in people I know, where this stuff catches up if you're not making a change. And that was really part of what prompted me to make that change, getting to that age thinking, hang on, I'm better with my drinking than I used to be, but I'm very much into health and fitness and all these things. Would my ideal self want to be doing this? And the answer was no. And I sort of had this realization that if I don't make these changes now, I probably never will, because you always tell yourself that, oh no, later on when I'm in my mid 30s, or no, actually when I'm in my 40s, it'll be fine. And it's always another, future time. But unless we make changes now, like, when are we going to do it?
Yeah, and again, I think we kind of try to pride ourselves on kind of just a fun, aspirational brand, kind of an excuse. You're in this community that's doing it, so you're not alone. And it's really about a completely different approach. I think guys in my peer groups, they might try cutting back or taking dry
Mm.
January off or something, but it's always reluctantly done. It's playing defense. You're coming up with lame excuses. You're kind of already baking into the equation that, alcohol's benefiting you, so you're only going to do it for a short period of time. Guess what? It's pretty lame. You didn't learn much, and you're happy to go right back at it. And so, I developed Booze Vacation well before the Andrew Huberman podcast came on, but there's a lot of kind of just common sense stuff that I had kind of seen, through my own experiences. But the typical guy that's drinking, 10 drinks roughly a week, it could easily take 4 to 6 months of just kind of, taking a dedicated break to reset their neural circuitry. So I know you've had people on about talking about this, but just your baseline is higher stress, higher anxiety, lower mood, and lack of impulse control. And for guys that are seeing alcohol everywhere, at work, at home, at any event, it's just, if you don't really understand what you're up against, it could be a really tricky issue to kind of address, because alcohol works pretty well when you're regularly drinking it, but unfortunately it's really eroding and degrading the times when you're not, which is typically when you have work and responsibilities and a lot of crap to do. So it really does set you up for a lot of negative feedback loops that are kind of subtle and not all that apparent. And again, everybody's doing it, so there must be safety in numbers. And so it's just a really tricky thing that we have kind of, figured out how to kind of survive. And not only survive, our program isn't really, it's not about, these short breaks. It's longer, big boy breaks. You're playing offense, and we kind of have a specific health protocol criteria around it. Alcohol is fantastic at dysregulating all functions and organs in the systems, and especially your sleep and your diet and your gut health, and your mental health. It's in your gut, it's in your brain. There's just so many negative things that guys. A lot of my peers, they're working out, they're eating some salads, they're maybe trying to meditate, but they never, they don't put down the alcohol for a bit. And so, again, it's not a lifetime declaration, and it's not saying you can never drink again, but we just really want to give those guys that time to restore and get back from 60% to 100%, and then not immediately degrade it, but like look and feel good. And I mean, it's not that hard to navigate life. There's some fantastic non-alcoholic beers and different things. So it's not about not, and there's flexibility. Again, it's not like we're, a church group or something like that. And there's nicotine, and there's, CBD, there's all kinds of stuff. But the alcohol part is kind of the master key that needs to get kind of figured out, because that is really negatively impacting so many different systems, in particular your sleep, and obviously your testosterone and your brain. I mean, I could go on and on, but it's it's a little bit, I think people don't realize how deep that rabbit hole goes when it comes to just affecting so many different things in negative ways.
If you're looking to make a change, to lose weight, to get toned, to gain self-confidence, all in just 24 minutes a day, then go no further. You can check out the Move Your Mind community by going to nickbrax.start.page.
Yeah, exactly. Because there's more awareness about other drugs and different things that we look at as being bad, but alcohol has just been so normalized for so long that no one really is talking about it unless they're going and making that, that change to look into it. And it becomes so much more apparent when you do that. Can you give me a bit more of a background on yourself and sort of your background and the events that led to you going down this path? And also, and how does Booze Vacation work? So it's a program people can join, and I'd love to hear a bit more about how that works.
Sure. Yeah. So, as I kind of hit on, unlike you, I didn't start in my late high school years. It was more early high school years. And I think that was similar with a lot of my buddies. And per Andrew Huberman, surprise, surprise, when you start drinking 14, 15, that presupposes you to heavier alcohol use, like 400% more likely heavy alcohol use, kind of disorder type stuff. And, water polo, soccer, tennis, surf, super active, and degree in nutritional science, really, up for performance. And ultimately, as far as, I think the straw that broke the camel's back was, just really poor sleep. I'd been diagnosed with sleep apnea. I'd gotten a couple CPAP machines that didn't work. I tried different mouth guards, and just not sleeping and living a pretty high octane lifestyle with work and business and family and social events. It just really wore me down and had me in a lot of negative states. And just dragging ass and kind of, feeling like, things weren't, trending in the right direction. And I knew what looking and feeling good was like, and I wasn't there. And so, I listened to a 4-hour Audible book called Alcohol Lied to Me by Craig Beck, who's like this like broadcaster, and he's super entertaining. And he kind of just like really, nailed it pretty quickly. So I'm like, oh crap, I need to take a break, like a real break here. Cause me and my buddies again had cut back and taken a month off, but kind of that longer runway was really required. And so, I took that break, and nowhere near you. Like I was, a little more dense on the topic, but not more like my mid 40s. So it wasn't, And again, it's kind of like a 401k. The earlier you can start it and get smarter, the better, because again, it's not about not ever drinking, but you've already done it. You've learned the lessons. You know how to do it. You know, like how to, restore your health that,
Mm.
alcohol can really erode. So, but I did that, and it was such a compelling experience. And I was really excited about my results. And I was talking to my buddies that I'd known for decades, and I'm just like, wasn't telling them to not drink or anything. I was like, hey, you got to check out this 4 hour Audible. It's pretty funny. The guy kind of nails it. It's eye opening. And I couldn't even have that conversation. Guys were just like, la la la, no thanks, I'm good. I don't want. And so it was like pretty eye opening. And I was like, man, our culture is so, it's so ingrained in our identity of, alcohol being fun, friends, events, and a reward system that, not doing it is just kind of a non-starter. And so me being such a subject matter expert and drinking with the boys for, decades, and kind of the bro culture, I was like, okay, I need to kind of figure this out. And I clearly had a lot of epiphanies and started working with other guys. But yeah, so Booze Vacation, again, it's kind of a lot of things, but it's kind of a health and wellness brand. It's kind of a media company, but we really want to just let guys know that, hey, this is a really cool, impactful thing you can do. It's not about not drinking, but it's really about restoring your health, improving your performance, and looking and feeling 10 years plus younger, which is exciting and important. And unfortunately, it's a limited time offer only, so you miss your opportunity. You get on the other side of 50, you're going to hit that wall. We'll be able to pull you off the wall, but your looks, your sexual performance, and your wallet will never look the same, because you're going to start dealing with chronic disease states, and it's a lot harder to put the genie back in the bottle. So what we're doing is we're pumping the brakes. We're working directly on all the dysregulated system that's alcohol's caused, as well as wear and tear and responsibility. And guess what? It's exceedingly easy to get massive gains by, just kind of these small inroads. Because again, by not drinking, you're kind of signaling your body and your mind and your stomach and all
Mm.
parts that's like, hey, I'm not actively harming all these areas. And you can start doing really small, diet and lifestyle modifications to kind of clean up all these, systems that have been deregulated. And we get really quick results, which is really cool. But so we kind of have this as a free offer, and we have some guides, and then we have kind of mastermind groups where we work more directly. But like I said, I'm kind of an expert at scratching my own itch, because all the symptoms that guys are going to have, anywhere from the blood pressure, low testosterone, sleep apnea, sinus pressure, aches and pains and strains, and on and on. It's all kind of connected. Obviously, mental health. Like I said, I've never had like significant depression, but yeah, I knew it. You definitely, in that lifestyle, there's definitely kind of this yin and yang of going big on the weekends and dragging ass and being pretty low during the work week, and kind of waiting for it. And again, that's another spiritual lesson there. It's like, you want to look, if you're not feeling good, who wants to be present? And if you're not present, you're not going to find the zone. You're not going to be at peak performance, and you're going to miss the only thing you'll ever have, which is the present moment. So there's just so many lessons and insights and gifts. And ultimately what we're doing is we're delivering so much value and massive gains across the board. So they're looking better, feeling better, they're picking up old hobbies and sports, they're in a better groove with their family, they're making more money, they're having just as much fun at parties. And so it's like, you know who wants to give that up, right? So that's kind of our insurance policy for drinking less and for different reasons. But yeah, it's a little bit of a but ultimately we're in the restoring your health and performance and massively upgrading your life, which requires a break from alcohol, which is kind of more of a secondary thing. But yeah, there's definitely, as we all are aware of, it's a little bit tricky in our culture, but it's like anything that you haven't done in a while. It's a little awkward, and then you figure it out. And there's such pent up need and demand. Like I said, I kind of discovered a niche that's just has millions
Mm.
of people that can really benefit. The results are guaranteed. They come fast, and we've kind of re-engineered a way to kind of really get quick, good results. And once you get the momentum and you start believing in the system, it's like, it's really fun and really increasing your activity levels. There's some awkward stages initially, but nothing you can't figure out. And we've kind of, again, we have a lot of guides and checklists and games around that. So yeah, it's been a fun ride.
Thank you for sharing that. And like you're saying there, I think it's amazing that you're doing this because we really do need it. And it's, I mean, is one of the reactions a lot of men have, or one of the reasons they don't want to make these changes, to do with the fear of facing the reality of? Because even, I'm making some of the changes you're talking about, but as you were saying, as you get into your 40s, 50s, and all, we can get higher blood pressure and this and that. I even felt my anxiety going up just realizing, oh shit, I don't like admitting to myself that I'm getting older and that, time is passing. But uh, the natural, I guess, like if we don't confront it and make these changes, we just live in this fantasy land where the problems will happen whether you like it or not. So is that a big part of it? Just wanting to be in denial because it's scary to face reality?
Are you interested in joining a community of like-minded people who are on the same journey as you are? Even though you're the one that needs to do the work, you don't have to go it alone. You can find all of the information at nickbrax.start.page.
Yeah, again, I just think it's just so ingrained in our culture, and it's kind of a team ethic. And so it's kind of like,
Mm.
hey, I could try it. It'd be miserable. I want to be able to relate to my buddies. I want to be able to have any fun. I want to know what to do at work events. If people think I have a drinking problem. It's ultimately what it is. It's the operating system that alcohol perpetuates. So it's just telling you a bunch of BS stories that you're like, oh yeah, that's real important. The reality is, what guys really need to understand, and like I said, I kind of re-engineered this, but the last thing any self-respecting dude wants is bad blood work, erectile dysfunction, dad bod, crappy relationships that be very costly. If you get a divorce and split up the kids, and the kind of maybe you're doing great at your business, but and your bank account's good, but if you don't, the reality is with regular alcohol use, it's just really it really erodes your diet and lifestyle and all these systems in your body. So you know
Mm.
the majority, this just simply the return on investment, alcohol for fun, and then what the costs are on the back end. And again, like I said, rewiring your neural circuitry for sometimes 6 months at a time for more stress and more anxiety and lack of discipline. And guess what you can do with lack of discipline and impulse control? You're going to be hitting more drinks. It's a ton of processed foods. And so
Mm.
ultimately,
Mm.
I think a lot of guys are like, hey, it's the summer, it's time to it's time to party. But it's kind of like, when do you want to stop risking your health, and when do you want to like figure this out? And ultimately, I think all guys know that they can figure it out. But yeah, I think it's just tricky because, like I said, in our society, so we try to like show them the obvious, because and we're targeting males, and I think girls like on TikTok and stuff, they're not as conditioned to play dumb with their alcohol use and just be so like you know this so again, I think guys think, hey, it's benefiting me, and so yeah, I need to play dumb with it, and I need to kind of pay the price on Saturdays for the hangover after the big party and all that. But they
Yeah.
don't realize what's going on. And as you get older, like if you don't have your health, and if you're not tapping the brakes, in your 40s or 50s, and you're kind of running rough with regular alcohol use, which leads to more processed food, more dysregulated sleep, more leaky gut, low testosterone. I mean, it's like everything a guy doesn't want is going to happen. It's like low testosterone, muscles converted into fat. You look and feel like shit. You start losing your hair. You start aging. You start getting all these aches and pains. And you're getting shoulder. And it's like, hey, you played water polo and now you have a bum shoulder, and you played soccer and now you don't have a knee. It's like, what exactly are you trading here? It's like, if I think we drink because we want to still be that, we're still the same guy in high school or college, and it's like,
Mm.
cool. Hey, for my 50th birthday, I went to Nicaragua and surfed 10-foot waves, and with another buddy, and it's like that's what it's about. It's not about like kind of sitting on the couch reminiscing, but it's like having the ability and doing the best you can, and taking control of your health for your performance. And literally, again, it's a land grab. We're going for everything, just massively improving all areas of your life. And that's kind of the formula I figured out that works for dudes, because again, they just don't like to give up the bottle. So we give kind of throw the kitchen sink at our offer to make it happen.
Yeah. Yeah. And It's an important point that, you know, a lot of, and I've experienced this with my friends quite a lot as we've gone into our 30s, where there is that reminiscing talk, and they're talking in the conversation a lot of the time will be like, oh, you know, but that's, we're not young anymore, this and that. And it's like, well, why not? I think that's a really depressing way to look at life. Why not, why do you want to be looking back? Why can't we set new goals and try and, you know, have new exciting adventures and do all these different things? So I think that's a really good point that you're making there. And I've also seen in friends where there's always, it'll be, oh no, I want to stop drinking, but you know, I'm single, so I need to drink, because to go on these dates, you've got to drink and do this and do that. So there's so much of that conditioning in there. Is it a common thing? This is what I experienced when I stopped. That once you do, it really makes things that you already sort of know about become so much more apparent, and you start thinking, oh, you know, wow, why was I needing to drink to be in this social situation? Did I actually even want to be there? Maybe I won't be in that one, but maybe I will, you know, pick my time more carefully and, you know, not go do things I don't want to do. And then I'm feeling so good from this change. Am I sleeping enough? Am I, you know, it makes you look very acutely at other areas. Is that pretty common? Once you start looking into that one area, it opens up sort of a window for everything else.
Yeah, and that's exactly our formula because
Yeah.
again, we really want to, not be moping around, waiting, watching the clock for 3 months and dragging ass and not improving your diet, not getting off the sugar, not moving your body and not figuring out life without it and kind of a new operating system. And I think the reality is a lot of my buddies, myself included, we kind of have an operating system from high school or during college, and it needs to kind of be updated. We're not a kid anymore. Yeah, alcohol helped us, achieve levels of success, but that was a lot of, piss and vinegar and horsepower. And now that we've had some success and some wear and tear, and it's kind of, you need to change your approach. And like I said, I think there's a lot of flexibility. It's not like you can't ever drink again, but you really need to reset that, that program, because it's set to self destruct. It's not a matter of if, but when. And again, I'm being a little bit dire, but it's very simple predictive math. Our physiology, doesn't lie. And, you're just, a couple drinks, you'll sleep 39% less well. You're gonna have
Wow.
higher heart rate, you're gonna have higher resting heart rate, you're gonna have a lower heart rate variability, you're straining your cardiovascular system. That's the plumbing for erections. You're tanking testosterone directly and indirectly with poor sleep. You're rebalancing all these hormones that are negatively affecting you and stressing you out and messing with your skin and your weight. And again, a lot of these guys, they'll work out, but they won't get the results. They'll have aches and pains because again, it's just there's so many negative inputs that it's perpetuating.
Mm.
And by kind of, as you're insinuating on, when you kind of start to stop harming all these core systems, your autonomic nervous system, how much you breathe, your respiratory rate, there's so much that happens that you just don't have a control of, how much junk food you crave with your blood sugar and your metabolic health. And so by kind of sequencing the alcohol and fix your sleep and then give your body and mind a little time to kind of you know regroup, whether that's 2 weeks or 6 weeks, and then kind of keep your physical activities up and start kind of doing different things and challenging yourself personally and professionally. It's just, yeah, it really starts, yeah, it just makes it so easier because your impulse control and your discipline's getting more strong, and you're on a path, and you're playing the long game, and you're playing to win, and you're intentional about these things. And again, you don't have to be like perfect and like you only eat kale salads. Like, it's just kind of just doing it in the right order and the right sequence, and figuring out what substitutes you like. And so it's not really about giving anything up. It's just like doing life better. And it's really compelling results. I got a childhood buddy. Quick anecdote for you, but I'm like super stoked on this. But yeah, he's like a big dude. He's like 6'5", and he's a wealth planner in the Bay Area, and he like manages billions of dollars, and he's always crushed it. But busy guy, and kind of a little wear and tear, and yeah, picking up some weight and some bad blood work, and yeah, he's down like 70. He's like went from 300 to like 230 because again, he's 6'5".
Mm.
and just blood work is stellar. Like, yeah, and he's just like, my performance is so good. Like, once guys get a taste of what 100% feels like, it's pretty compelling, especially in your 40s, and 50s, where people are really starting to mail it in. And so, yeah,
Mm.
it's just so many. You just get so many insights and gifts, and that you just aren't going to see without those longer breaks. And so that really helps you kind of reimagine and kind of figure out lifestyle design, what you want to do and how you want to do it and how you can get back to these, higher states. So yeah, it's been
Mm.
super cool.
That's amazing. Yeah, so good to see those kind of stories. I was listening somewhere, it could have been Huberman, I can't remember where I heard this, but they was talking about alcohol and its effects on your brain, and that the brain mostly can repair itself if once you do sort of get off it or have a break. Is that, how does it work on in that area?
Man, so yeah, I definitely feel like my brain isn't what it used to be after 30 years of drinking. I lean on some caffeine and some neurotropics and things like that. But no, I mean, I think the reality is, rewired neural circuitry, getting good quality sleep, kind of just basic blocking, getting, good nutrition, not going crazy on your stimulants, kind of just, learning how to breathe properly, not mouth breathing, not, kind of, belly breath. There's just so many different things that you could do that are essentially conditioning your body for success and performance. But yeah, I mean, I think a lot of that can be reversed, but yeah, there's clearly some wear and tear there as well. But I
Mm.
think when you're essentially you're playing sports at a high level, and there's a lot of rewiring that's going on and repair. So yeah, I'm no neurosurgeon,
Mm.
um, but yeah, no, there's a lot of little things that you could do to kind of set things in the right direction.
But essentially, the earlier we can, make these changes, the better, if for our longevity, for our
Yeah,
future.
and honestly, again, it's like, not to point the finger all at alcohol, but it's you're eating a lot of processed food. It's like a lot of sugar, not a lot of fiber, a lot of a lot of seed oils, a lot of pro-inflammatory stuff. So you know, it's a total dumpster fire, and it's not just the alcohol, but there's a lot of just, harmful food and lifestyle stuff that's out there that is pretty common when you're in lowered states and always kind of looking to change the channel.
Hey guys, if you're enjoying this podcast, please click the subscribe button, leave a like or comment, share with your friends, and follow me on Instagram at NickBrax. I really appreciate your ongoing support. So, what would be your main message to men in this category that are wanting to make these changes but don't know where to begin, or like what I experienced? A lot of my friends, I was meeting up with a friend the other day, and he didn't know I'd quit drinking and ordered a non-alcoholic beer, and he was saying, he's like, "Oh, I would love to quit. Oh, that's so great you've done that. I wish I could do that too. I really want to quit." And he's, having this big night of drinking, and I'm thinking, well, you could, or you could change your behavior a bit if you wanted to. But I meet so it seems to be a lot of people like that want to do it, but think, "Oh no, but it's not even possible for me to do it." Like, what would you say to those people?
Yeah, and I empathize, because I think, again, it's you really get stuck, when you're regularly drinking. You don't realize just, all the different, ways it's negatively affecting, how you look and feel and your actions. And so, yeah, it's tricky. And again, I think, when someone like you or me does take a break, I think it's important to be able to share it. Again, you don't have to preach or anything like that, but just to like let people know, hey, it's, I've had pretty good results, and it's been, wasn't that hard, and still having a good time. Obviously, we're looking and feeling better than probably the average bear. And so, ultimately, that's what Booze Vacation is about: letting my peers know that, hey, taking a break is a good idea. It's not a dumb idea. It sounds counterintuitive. Basically, any health protocols you're working on now, whether it's your sleep or your fitness or your mindset, all that stuff, you can kiss that goodbye. You're going to get results that will disappoint, that won't last very long, that with regular alcohol use, because you're pissing up wind with your physiology and your wear and tear and all these different negative programs that it's perpetuating. And so um and it's important. It's a limited time offer, and if you start seeing warning signs like belly fat or prescriptions, or you're regularly using ibuprofen or Tylenol, if you have like an injury with inflammation, again, that's the warning sign going off. And this is a big important deal. And again, I think when it comes I think people are looking at it the wrong way, but really
Mm.
it's really about you being you, and you being a better version of yourself. And that will, when you're looking, feeling, and performing better, you have more activities, you have a lot less downtime, and a lot less drama and bullshit. It might not, you might not get the highs and lows, but you'll figure out how to have fun, a good time. Like, parties are about the people, not about the alcohol. And yeah, you might be a little bit awkward at first, but you're going to look and feel better, and you're going to be sharper. And it's not about any lifetime declarations. It's a break. It's not, and you could choose your own adventure after that. But a lot of guys find that they really enjoy looking, feeling, screwing better, making more money, and kind of being more them. It's ultimately about giving guys that choice, because the current system, as you said, I think they, their only options are cutting back, or maybe taking a short break around January when there's nothing else going on, and then once the Super Bowls are on, it's
Mm.
right back at it and catching up for lost time. And so they really never get a say in the matter. And it sounds kind of silly, but that's my belief. And when I see my peers, because there's this really, no one with no self-respecting dude would sign up for this big bag of predictive problems, across the board. That's not any fun, very expensive, and it's really eroding. It might not erode your lifespan as much, but it's eroding your health span. And if you're not getting around, if you're not able to have great sex, if you're having money problems, there's just so much high stress. It's just it's a really big skill to have. It's not it's really easy to pull off with our guidance. And anybody can do it. And it's a tremendous gift. And the last but not least, I think one thing that's like especially cool about taking a vacation is, and kind of like you're talking about it, but you're shining a light in a dark room, and a lot of people kind of pick up on it. And again, it's not about pointing fingers or preaching anything, but there's the real big pent up demand for this. And probably the guys that are more likely to take it are guys that are maybe drinking a little bit less than our buddies. But be a good buddy, and monkey see, monkey do. And let's get some reverse peer pressure going here, because it's going to be really clear who's taking a booze vacation and who hasn't. And it's there's a lot of flexibility, so it's a no-brainer.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And like you're saying, not about preaching, I mean, or judging. It's something that it's none of our fault that, it's we've grown up being taught that this is how we, function in society. And I've drunk more than I've needed to for a lifetime in my 20s. So it's more it's hard not to, once you have that break, to want to just share this with people, because you're thinking, well, hey, and this has worked so well, I think it probably would improve your life a lot as well. But I love that approach, that taking the vacation and having that experience, because I I only was initially setting out for 4 weeks, and the hardest part was probably the first 2 weeks, when I sort of first went out with a group of friends. And uh, it was they weren't used to me not drinking, so they're asking questions, and I'm thinking, oh, how do I have fun? And then after like an hour, I realized, well, hang on, I'm having as much fun because I forgot I wasn't drinking. And I felt so good after 4 weeks that I just kept going. And I've spoken to so many people who have had that same experience. I think, just like you're saying there, it's such a great way to do it. Just giving people that experience. You don't have to do anything further than that, but just see how you feel. And then the chances are you're probably going to want to adjust some sort of behavior, moving forward.
Yeah, and again, not to step on your words here, but again, there's clearly different, predispositions. But most of
Mm,
my peers that would take 4 weeks off would go right back at it. And I think,
mm,
and yeah, when you're talking about like the hardest part, what I really think is the hardest part is not the break itself, but it's the deciding to take the break. And we are requiring dudes to take at least a 3 month break because again, we want them to kind of get a long enough runway to, really get the gains.
Right.
But and then there's the first couple weeks is tricky. The first couple social situations a little tricky, but when you're playing the long game, when you kind of have a game plan, when you know what to say, nah, I'm on a booze vacation right now. Oh, what's that? That's cool, whatever. It's it's a really big, neat opportunity for sure.
Yeah, great. So 3 months is sort of the amount normally,
Yeah,
like you found. Yeah.
so we have 3 to 12 month breaks,
Yep.
and
Yep.
guys can do whatever they want. But to your point, like I said,
Mm.
knowing that the hardest part is deciding in the first couple weeks, it's like why not have a longer runway to stack your gains a little bit higher, and it's dose dependent. So to be real, most of my peers that have been drinking 20, sometimes 30 years, a bit heavier, is 3 months going to like be a profound change, not as much as a 6 or 12 month, because
Yeah.
again, they're probably, maybe we'll get them from 60% to 80% or 85%, but you can't. It's so inherent in the system that I think it's kind of dose dependent. Do what you can, but I found that just making that decision, it's kind of a set and forget it, and then you don't have to sit there and second guess. I got this party. It's like no, you just like stay present, get on it, and keep chopping wood, and it works out. But yeah, honestly, none of my buddies took a month off and were like, myself included, and said, okay, yeah, I'm going to keep rocking this. I think again, it's just our belief system, and again, we're usually picking January when we're coming off a rough holiday season and half sick and gained a bunch of weight, and there's nothing going on. So again, it's defensive, and so we're
Yeah.
trying to make it more offensive and a little bit more, counterculture. Counterculture.
All right. So everyone listening, don't listen to me. A month isn't enough. Do 3 months at least. Yeah. No. And what have been the experience? What's sort of been the some of the feedback or the results when people have had the break once they do finish the booze vacation? What have you seen with the majority of people?
Yeah, no, there's been some interesting insights with that. I think probably about 25-30% keep on rocking their vacation. So they're just like, hey, I'm still rocking this. Most of them have done like more of a year, but one guy did a 3 month and he's still on it. And
Mm.
yeah, everybody loses weight. Everybody, gets better physically and mentally. And, I think and then it's kind of funny. Like I took a 1 year vacation and then went back and had a couple drinks on the weekend, never above like two or something. And then 3-4 months in, it's like had a couple nights with 3 drinks. I'm like, I don't really like where this is headed. So I've taken a series of them. It's kind of like whenever I want to look and feel and perform at my best,
Mm.
it's a great time, about to turn 50 or, whatever. So it's something that it's a tool in your tool belt that once you've
Mm.
done it, you can do it again, if you want to optimize for anything in particular. So, and what we found is like, as the longer the breaks, the more you take them, the less you drink, the less you continue to drink until, you eventually, I think it's kind of the body or the mind. And, like I said, I think my mind was maybe a little bit more predisposed. So my mind is, still kind of maybe not 100% cured, but my body is. And so, I tried to crack open my favorite beer around Christmas time, and it tasted like Windex or, something. I was like, ugh, it's like my body was like, what the hell are you doing? And so it's just funny how, so there's different experiences there, but, again, it's
Mm.
not about telling anybody what experience to have. And
Mm.
honestly, I think a guy should be able to have a beer if they want to have a beer, if they're not a problem drinker or anything like that. And there's a time and place, but it's just the habitual kind of system that you don't reset is really predictive. And that's where it kind of, with tolerance and age, you're drinking a little bit more, you're getting a little bit less. It's harder on your aging body. And so that's kind of the dynamic that we're just not cool with. And ultimately, yeah, you're going to drink a lot less, and guess what? It's not going to do much for you. But
Yeah.
it wasn't going to, unless you're going to try to chase it and then just really fire up all these negative loops again that no guy would want to once they've figured out how to turn it off.
Yeah. Yeah. And I love that about looking at it as, it's another tool in your tool belt. So you don't have to quit forever, but you've got this, experience, this tool that you can have there to fall back on. It gives you that confidence and that experience. So yeah, I love everything you're talking about here and what you're doing, mate. We finish every episode with 5 closing questions. So these can be sort of whatever answer comes to mind. The first one being, what's your best childhood memory that comes to mind for you?
Oh man, the best. I played soccer as a kid, so it all kind of blurs together. But yeah, just the uniforms and playing with my buddies and eating orange slices, on the
Yeah,
sideline, and yeah, we went to a couple of pro soccer games and stuff like that. So that was a blast. But yeah, just playing sports with my buddies was super fun, and always soccer was my first love.
love it. What do you think is currently the biggest burden on mental health in society?
Oh man, uh, social media is certainly not helping. Alcohol is not helping. Over caffeination isn't helping. I think diet and lifestyle and work culture is, yeah, there's a lot of drags on it. But yeah, social media I think is pretty caustic. And I think, yeah, like I said, anybody that's regularly drinking, you're you're really just regulating a lot of core systems, just how you breathe. Like, you breathing more is going to stress you out more, and it's going to, there's going to be more sleep apnea, there's going to be worse sleep and less recovery. So yeah, but yeah, there's a bunch of stuff, unfortunately.
Yeah, all big ones. What's your personal definition of happiness?
Yeah, I've done a lot of different programs and stuff, but I think it's really just like love and contribution and gratitude. Some of those cliche ones, but I think that's what it distills down to. And so yeah, I'm pretty pumped to be focusing on Booze Vacation, because I do think it's a gift. It's a form of love, form of love for my bros and their families and all that, because I'm all about it.
Yeah, absolutely. If you could give one piece of advice to your 18-year-old self, what would that be?
Man, I don't even know. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I was pretty head in the sand when it came to alcohol. So I don't even know how to like step on that butterfly and put that genie back in the bottle. But yeah, there was like a slight bit of common sense around alcohol. Like that would have been an interesting, kind of mechanism, but it wasn't there. So yeah, I don't know. It's hard to say. But
I'm just laughing.
Ultimately,
yeah,
I made a lot of mistakes, but ultimately I'm super happy where I'm at. So again, ultimately it all worked out in the wash. So I feel blessed for that.
exactly. No point having regrets, and I think it's part of growing up, experimenting with things. It's just as long as we can find that balance moving forward.
Yeah, and honestly, there were times, darker times when I was like, yeah, not looking and feeling good and drinking too much, and maybe not, doing as much with my life as I wanted to. And ultimately I was able to kind of turn around my experience and help other people. So it wound up, even darker times really ultimately wound up being a blessing.
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely. I'm a big believer in that. Final one, what are you most proud of?
Yeah, I'm pretty proud and pumped about Booze Vacation. I think it's a big deal. I think it's important. I'm not saying I have all the right answers or we have the perfect solution, but it worked for me. I'm kind of the composite of my peers when it comes to kind of work and play and reward systems and and events. And so yeah, it's just a big important deal, and it's working, and I'm pumped, and it's kind of a life passion of mine. So I'm pretty pumped on that.
That's great. Love it. Well, final thing, where can we send our listeners if they want to find more about Booze Vacation?
Check out boozevacation.com. Yeah, we got
Nice
a bunch
and
of free
easy.
resources and stuff, and love to have you check us out. And yeah, super appreciate you having me on, Nick. Thank you so much.
Awesome, mate. And anyone listening, make sure to click on the links in the show notes to check out Booze Vacation. And yeah, thank you, Clifford. Thanks so much. Been great connecting with you, mate.
Likewise. Be well.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Clifford Stephan, for joining me today and offering your insights. And thank you for listening. I'd love to hear about your thoughts on the episode and any suggestions for topics you'd like to hear about. Feel free to leave a comment or just send me a DM. Your feedback is always appreciated. please don't forget to click the subscribe button, leave a like or comment, share with your friends, and follow me on Instagram. It really makes a difference. Thank you so much.